Well, it's Sunday the 9th of August, and this is part 6 of the Philco restoration. Oh, let me just turn down Mr. Hitachi over there. Today I've been just looking at the tuner part of the Philco Raidogram. Remember the last few videos and broadcasts I've been doing, I've been explaining a little bit about how far we've got. Now this is a critical part now, and so I've been looking at that. But also I'd like to share with you something. Remember in the last video I was saying that this particular piece of equipment said it had 2 speakers, and I was wondering where that second speaker was. Well, I found it, and I'm going to show you now whether it's actually next to that lovely big Goodman's, but it's also very much smaller. It's actually a tweeter. Just turn that round. There we go. Now, hopefully you can see that. It's coming up on the screen with the video camera. Here it is. Here, this one here, and made in Germany. So and also next to the very nice Goodman's Industries speaker there. So, and also just where we've got this, I've given this casing a really good clean now. I've had the paintbrush and the vacuum cleaner sucking away at all the edges very, very gently. There's the amplifier that we discussed on the last video. All working order there with those lovely valves, and we said the EZ80 and the ECL82 this end, the 2 ECL82s there, and this end. So, and then the tuner, of course, would have fits in this slot here, and I've removed the 3 screws, that are holding that, and let's find my pencil here. Look, these in these holes here, and then remove the fascia as well. And the fascia, I'll just grab the fascia so I can show you. Sitting over with Mr. BRS. Here we go. This is the fascia, and one of my YouTube friends, he's a friend now, sent me a very good piece of advice, and he said that because these were screen printed, you have to watch the backs very carefully. In other words, when you're cleaning them, you need to be quite careful about how you're going about that. And I have to say, I've learned through bitter experience with a piece of equipment before that you can easily wipe off all this wonderful lettering here. So yeah, so I've cleaned that up. So that of course fits quite comfortably over there. There we go, like that, and screws on. But once the tuner part is all fitted on to the onto the main casing here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put the top back on again, and then I'm going to put the piece of cloth over there, and then I'm going to discuss with you the tuner. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put this back on the perch. So it'll be a few minutes. Let me just turn that round. There we go. So if you just bear with me a moment, I will do that. Let's get that here. So here we got the top. Okay, so I'm going to put that on top there, and just to make sure that everything's all right, I'm going to just secure it with one of the catches there at the side. And then I've got this cover that I put on. Just doing that. You won't be able to see this exactly yourself at the moment. And then very, very carefully, I'm going to bring back Mr. Tuner. Here he comes. Because I've now been doing some work on this today. We've had some really lovely weather here in Kent, and the weekend's been absolutely superb. So much so that I've actually even washed and polished the car today. And so, right, if we actually have a look at this now, I'll just turn camera around. Right, so it actually looks at this angle like a steam engine, but you can see here this would normally be in the upright position, so it would normally be this way and you'd be looking down on it, and you've got the two control sections here. So you've got the selector here, which is for medium, long wave and gram, and then in the middle of that you also on the outside of that, so I say, you've got the tuning for the wavelength. So you've got the wave log fits over that, and then you've got the variable condenser sitting here in the middle. Now, what it looks like now is not how it looked earlier in the day. In fact, so last week during the coming home from the office, I was spending some time out here as the weather's been very nice. You've got some radio valves here. Again, I've made this very rough schematic, and we've got an EH81 and an EBF89, and these are the two detector valves. So these two here will be picking up, having to increase the signal, and also working in conjunction with these two coils here, which will be tuned, set tuning for those wavelengths, because it's an analog machine on medium and long wave. Now, I've cleaned all the muck out because there was quite a bit in the variable condenser. Is full of dust, and I've used also, just to see whether I can get rid of some of that crackle, I've used a bit of switch cleaner, and I've sprayed that through the holes. I'm certainly not going to start removing it. Now, switch cleaner is the stuff that you get, this one here I get from Maplin's, and basically it's an alcohol-based cleanser which then evaporates, and I've used it quite successfully before. So this one here controls the tone on and off, and then the volume on the inner side there. I think that's how it runs now without putting the knobs back on again. And so I've cleaned off all the wiring as well. These were filthy dirty, caked in dust, and also some. You've got the ferro rod here. This picks up the signal because it's internal aerial, so this will pick up the signal with these windings at either end. And because it must have got hot at some time, some of the wax sealant had dripped onto some of the components, so I've cleaned that off as well. And also just cleaned off this there's a condenser there, smoothing condenser there. Underneath, everything seems to be fairly okay. That part was actually against the underside against the front panel, so that's been protected quite a lot. So I've actually just cleaned in between all of those things there. There are a couple of wax condensers. I'm not going to touch those. Some people say you should replace those. I'm leaving them at this stage. I'll always come back some later time. Everything's working. I'm very much a man of it. If it's working, I'm not going to fix it, because unless there's a major problem, then I think you should leave things well alone, and that's what I'm going to do. So this is all working very well. As you can see, this works on a pulley system. The pulleys work with this cord here, slightly elasticated cord, and I've just added a few drops of very slight Teflon oil to all the workings here. Interesting enough, the front panel here, this was all black, so I've added a piece of white tape because I think, and I'll be interested to see what others think the same, this actually works quite well. If you put that there, this is what the log goes, you can actually see the white through there, and with that small bulb it actually will show up better, I think. But it actually got a piece of ordinary wide insulation tape just as a backing. Obviously it's on an aluminium chassis there, so on that basis. So anyway, what the next stage will be to connect it all back up again, and then obviously get the record player, which is still sitting over in the fragile box, give it a polish and get everything back together, and see how it does. So anyway, once again, thank you very much for watching, and see you soon.